We shouldn't forget.
Greetings, family. We are live. Welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. Family, as you see, we have our panel members in the house, and we've just been joined backstage by our sister Sheila. Let's bring her on as well. So, family, as you join us, we are looking forward to another really interesting, interactive show this evening. We've got a great topic that we're going to be continuing to discuss. It's going to be enlightening. It's going to be educating. Oh, wow. Family, you recognize Dr. Abu from previous shows. Let me go over to Dr. Abu and ask him to introduce himself to you all and, share some opening remarks with us here. Dr. Abu.
Vudum family, I want to rise up, Empress, and rise up yourself, rise up, Empress and Nzinga, Sister Sheila, Brother Kunta, and to all our families them that is joining this session. I'm Abu Ratata, part of Galaxy Radio, part of the community, and giving thanks and praise that I'm alive. We are not in a bad time. Bad things may be happening, but we are at the right time because we are alive.
Vudum, rise up, Dr. Abu. And I'm sending out notices in case you're wondering why I'm looking down. Family, last strong, you may recall that there was a particular participant in our chat who was very engaging in the show. Well, today we are delighted to have her on our platform. None other than our beautiful queen, Sister Nzinga Asata. Sister Nzinga, welcome. Please introduce yourself to the family.
Greetings, family, and a big up to Sister Shanice for the hard work, because we were on another program this morning deliberating. Greetings to everyone on the panel and to the African family as a whole. As you heard, I'm Sister Nzinga Asata. I'm a writer, an activist of many years standing, a mother and a grandmother, and I've just come off of a meeting from the Global African Congress UK, and I'm happy to be here sharing what information I have, and obviously hearing what the community has to say as well.
We are delighted, we are honored to have you on board, my sister, Queen Nzinga. Oh, beautiful. Looking forward again to your input in our discussion today. As you said, we had a great topic for discussion earlier today. And, family, you may also recall our sister Sheila from Last Strong. Please, Sister Sheila, introduce yourself to the family.
Thank you very much. It's always an honor to be back in your midst. Rise up, Dr. Abu, Sister Shani, Sister Nzinga, Brother Kunta. When I see the panel like this, I say, you know what, thank you, my ancestors. I have arrived. I am rubbing shoulders with the high and mighty. I am Sheila Chevet. I am a life coach. Just looking at my panelists today, I would say, you know what, in years to come, when my story will be told, it will be said that I've been walking with the people that are people. So thank you very much for my fellow panelists, and thank you very much for all the people tuning in today. We are going to have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We certainly are going to have a wonderful, very insightful discussion again today. And, family, if you tuned in Last Strong, you would have got quite a history from our brother Kunta. And so we are privileged and honored to have him back here again today to continue taking us on that journey across Chad and around the surrounding area so that we can get an insight into what's happening on the ground over there. He's a bit like our war correspondent here, as if we looked at it from a journalistic perspective. So brother Kunta, from a historical and war journalism perspective, we welcome you. We appreciate, love you. Please introduce yourself to the family. Brother Kunta. Oh, you're taking yourself off mute. Yes. Okay. So Brother Kunta is going to help us in a short while. I'm just sending out notes.
Yes. Yes, I'm back to talk a bit about the history of France in our western area, in the central area. And a few days ago, France has recognized slavery as a crime against humanity. So they had a meeting about 2 days ago where France has accepted that slavery was a bad thing. So it's like they start to realize that the world is watching them, isn't it? For them to decide to accept, like, because France never accepted like slavery was a crime against humanity. So for them to accept that, it's like a change of the colonial mentality. Okay, a bit, but still, yes, but still, you know, the meeting took place. I haven't seen no black man in there. I only see white people talking about slavery. So people that own the history, they were not even present. Macron was there talking some crap thing, but I haven't seen people from Martinique or from Haiti at the meeting. So I find it very weird, like a bit biased. It's like the history, they will take part of the history that suit them. Anything of the history that make them become like demons. They don't talk about that. Even Toussaint Louverture, he's buried not far from there. They should have gone to his graveyard and apologize to him, or kidnap him. But they never talk about that. They only talk about it was a crime against humanity. France recognized that, and officially it was a bad thing and all that. But that should be in a book. It should be like a document. But the documents has to be complete. They shouldn't give them only a part of the history of slavery. They should tell them everything about slavery and the role that France plays and the horrible things they have done. But they don't want to talk about that. They only talk about the fact that it's a crime against humanity. But that's vague. Okay? All right then. So now going to Chad. There's a lot of change that are taking place in Chad today.
Well, before you go into Chad, my brother Kunta, thank you very much for that opening and for making us aware of the recent developments there. I wasn't aware of it. I don't know if you were, Sister Sheila, Dr. Abu, or Sister Nzinga, were you aware that France has actually acknowledged that slavery was a crime against humanity?
They certainly acknowledge it on the world stage, so everybody could hear. You know,
yes, because on Monday, this Monday past Monday, yeah. And it was a big ceremony in France, a big ceremony, you know. It's not a small thing. It was a big ceremony, you know. So if you see Macron's face, it's like the pressure of mankind, because because they used to hide. Now they can't hide no more, because if France was occupied by Hitler. Okay, so for them to act worse than Hitler, it's shame on them. That's why they start to change the, you know, they start to realize that the world is watching them.
Yes, yeah, they think so.
Okay then.
That's right. But recognize, I agree. The whole world is watching them, right? On the limb, and they want to keep their African partners on side, don't they?
Exactly.
My
is a strategy.
Family, just to remind you that, you know, if you carry on, it's my reception. I just saw that I disappeared for a moment. So let's quickly acknowledge our brothers and sisters in our audience, and let's hear what their opening remarks are and their greetings. Oh, beautiful. We've got Lady V in the house saying, greetings, family. Welcome, Lady V. We've got Mr. Wilfred in the house, Wilfred Ambrosi, and he's saying, if France is serious, it will get out of Francophone countries unconditionally. Hey, I absolutely agree with that, Mr. Wilfred. And he also says that France is putting on a distraction show. Tell us, Mr. Wilfred, what are they distracting us from looking at right now? Really want to hear more of your thoughts on that. Thank you for sharing. Also, we've got Africa Queen in the house saying, greetings, Sister Shanice, and to all the panel. Greetings, Africa Queen, welcome. We've got Sister Afrijamo in the house, rising up Brother Kunta and saying that was a good joke. Okay, so at some point you gave her a joke. We've got Kimani in the house, greeting the family, one and all. And Mr. Wilfred has reminded us, never trust the colonizers. Hey, and our history, you know, concurs with that. We've got Brian in the house. He's saying, great show is on. Tuned in from Kenya. At Sister Sheila Tuko Toma. Hey, rise up, Sister Sheila. Tell us, have I pronounced that correctly? Tuko Pamoja?
Yes, it's Tuko Pamoja. It means we are together. Yes, Tuko Pamoja, we are together.
Tuko Pamoja. And I know that our beautiful Mumbi says that at the beginning and the end of all her shows. Tuko Pamoja, we are together. Thank you for that, Brian. We are together as one indeed, as African people from wherever we are in the world, whether we're Africans in the UKKK, the United States of America, Australia, Brazil, on the continent, wherever we may be, as Africans, we are one people indeed, irrespective of our religion, irrespective of our ethnicity, irrespective of our nationality. First and foremost, we are Africans as we define ourselves today. Yes, indeed. Mr. Wilfred's also saying that this is about getting at Africa's resources. It is the same tactics being used by the colonizers. And Afrijamo is rising up, Sister She, rubbing shoulders with Pan-African celebrities. Really, where are those Pan-African celebrities? Rise up, Sister Afrijamo. Thank you for the accolade. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Info Awake is in the house saying greetings, always ready to listen and to listen to the show from Gunju in the Gambia. Brilliant. Rise up, brother Info there. And Angie Love greeting us from Georgia in the USA. We've got DJ Jamaican in the house, DJ Jamaican Junkra channel. Hey. He's saying, up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. Quoting from Marcus Messiah Garvey there. And JJ saying, big up to my wonderful melanated family. Afrijamo is greeting myself and the panel. She's saying, and my African brothers and sisters worldwide watching from Ghana. Beautiful, beautiful. I want to thank all of you who are watching us right now. Brother Anthony is reminding everyone to please hit the like button. Abini is saying, greetings, Sister Shanice. Greetings all on the panel and to all in the chat. Blessed love. So family members, hopefully you're all signed on as subscribers as well. If not, please do hit the subscribe button. That way you'll get notifications of the shows. Even if, you know, I'm late like today and I don't get a chance to put out the notices ahead of time, it means that you will be notified regardless, because we really appreciate your participation in the show via the chat. And last strong, we had Booker, who wanted to come on and talk about Mozambique. I certainly hope that he joins us again today so that we can bring him on the panel, because he wanted to give us, you know, some updates live and direct from the country itself. Okay, before we go into the show, just a couple of notices. I want to inform you that after this show, straight after this show, and I will put the link in the chat, we have our third and final session with Leader Bandaka. Leader Bandaka is one of our spiritualists, Pan-Africanist, mover and shaker here in the UK. And he's going to be continuing his discussion from last strong. And I tell you, you know, he represents an organization that walks in the realm of African spirituality. And we started a discussion on that last strong. And he was saying that, you know, even though we've removed the physical chains, the mental chains have still yet to be removed. We can't see these mental chains, but they are impacting us as a people. And we were talking about the importance of practicing our African spirituality and practicing, and how the practice of religion is part and parcel of the cultural context. And basically, because we are also removed as a people from our cultural context and our religion. You know, we're actually practicing religions in other people's culture. And what happens is when we practice the religion of others' cultures, especially if that religion is saying that we as a people, you know, are heathens, or, you know, born in sin and iniquity, or if it's saying that, you know, we are somehow less than within that religion, then basically we are already accepting a position of inferiority within somebody else's religion. And religion, he said, you know, is within the context of one's culture. And when we practice one's religion, we're practicing one's culture. And when we practice one's culture, we're elevating that culture. We're attaching ourselves to that culture, you know, and we're seeing the worst thing about it is that we're seeing the deity of that culture. You know, we're seeing their deity and not our deities. So the deity of that culture will look like them. So if we're practicing, say, for example, an Arab culture, a religion that belongs to the Arabs, then their deity is going to look like them. If we're practicing a religion that's, say, elevating European deities, then we're going to be worshipping European deities. And in so doing, as a people, we're not practicing our own cultural spirituality, and we're elevating another culture to the detriment of our own, and that others find strength in their religion and strength in our culture. And if we're sacrificing our culture and our religion, then, you know, hence why we're in the situation to a large extent we are. And he quoted Baba Yusuf James Jokerman, who said, religion is the deification of a people's culture. Therefore, religion empowers the people in whose culture the religion is expressed. So, you know, we're seeing the deification of the religion that we're practicing in their cultural context and not ours. I mean, that was just the opening, and I tell you, family, the way he dropped it, it was just powerful. And today, you know, we're going to be going into the sacrifices that some of our ancestors made, you know, our revolutionary ancestors and their sacrifices, so that we, you know, could have an independent Africa today. And so what's really, really important, family, is that we recognize who these revolutionary ancestors were, and that we also celebrate them, remember their names, because by remembering them, we will keep them alive. So we've got that coming up straight after this show. And also just to mention that tomorrow, Thursday evening, we've got a special show for you. And I'm delighted that Sister Nzinga is going to be joining us on that special show tomorrow evening. We have as guest Professor Hannington, who is the author of a book called The Rapid Africa Plan. And it is a plan for Africa. It is a plan that is designed to industrialize Africa within the next 40 years, all of Africa, and it needs the buy-in of all of us. And there's an urgent call for us as Africans to come together as a People's Alliance, and there's going to be a summit on Saturday for all of the movers and shakers, those who want to be part of the change, yeah? So that's going to be happening. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. And also we've got Dr. Adebayo Adedokun, yeah, who's going to be joining us for that discussion, and our brother Kwame Konza as well from Ghana. So family, be aware of what the Rapid Africa Plan is all about. Be aware of how you could get involved in bringing this plan into fruition. So that's going to be tomorrow, Thursday the 13th of May, from 8 p.m. through to 10 p.m. GMT time. The Rapid Africa Plan, an urgent call for an African People's Alliance, because we need to align ourselves behind that plan. And we also acknowledge all of the other major plans as well. You know, the ADDI plan for the diaspora, you know, the plan for African trade, the plan that's designed to encourage us to operate as a border when it comes to our economies and trade. We also recognize the plan that is talking about the United States of Africa, that's talking about borderless Africa, that's talking about a one African economy, a one African army, a one African currency. You know, this plan aligns itself with all of those other plans as well. So some powerful visionaries are going to be addressing us tomorrow, and we need to be, you know, seeing what the future is for Africa, and we need to be running with those plans as well. So I just wanted to open up by introducing you all and talking a little bit about that, those forthcoming events. So please do join us tomorrow evening and for the summit on Saturday. And of course, later on this evening after this show, for the show that we've got with Leader Bandaka. Okay, so we're going to go over to the discussion that we're going to be having tonight. And those of you that were tuned in last strong, you will remember Dr. Abu talking about the fact that one of our biggest problems that we have as Africans is that we are addicted to whiteness. We are suffering from white-man-titis. And you know, we're going to be hearing more from the doctor as he elaborates on that for us. And I also presented to you last strong a list of over 170 top African officials who have been taken out within the last year. Yeah, the list is about 173 now who have been taken out within the last year. These are presidents, vice presidents, former presidents, you know, high-ranking African officials. And we were asking the questions, is this a regime change going on? Do we have assassins on the ground who are taking out our people, claiming it's as a result of COVID? Within the last year, on a continent where there's hardly any COVID at all, compared to places like the United States of America and Europe, we have so many top officials who have supposedly succumbed to this disease. And so we're recognizing that there are multiplicity of covert military operations that's taking place on the continent. We were acknowledging who were behind these military armies and in instigating proxy wars. We were recognizing the extent to which these wars are destabilizing African countries, dispersing communities, sending people into these camps, which basically is just financing these so-called charities that claim to be looking after refugees, but instead are basically just exploiting them. You know, we are recognizing that all of this is diverting us away from the main business at hand, which is, you know, to elevate Africa, to industrialize Africa, to develop Africa. These proxy wars and efforts by outsiders to undermine all of this is deliberate. We were talking very extensively about the role of France, in particular in Chad, and, you know, their involvement in a number of these militia groups, and the role of Russia and the role of others, you know, in arming the military, the militias, financing the militias, and sending them in to cause war in Africa. And we also recognize the troubling situation that basically it's black on black violence. It's Africans who identify more with the French, because we were learning about the extent to which France is actually indoctrinating the army, indoctrinating Africans on the continent so that they want to be more French than the French, and how it's meant to represent some pinnacle of success if you can talk more French than the French, dress like the French, and all the rest of it. So serious state of affairs in terms of the mental pains that we can't see, but is actually playing itself out among us as a people. We were learning about how democracy, you know, has divided us as a people as well. Whereas, you know, after our enslavement was over, we were coming together as one Africans. They came in with democracy, which now has, you know, ethnic group against ethnic group, political parties against political parties, you know, and major challenges. Democracy basically is just not for Africa right now, I think was the conclusion. And we heard from our brother in some considerable detail about the politics behind wars in Africa, and we're going to learn in Chad, and we're going to learn a lot more about that today. We also heard from our sister Sheila, colourful display, colourful presentations behind the Chinese stories and rat stories that she delivered for us as well, and basically described the situation on the continent as a heap of confusion and a nonsensical situation that we have got to try and unravel during our time. So whilst we are all keen to see Africa advance, Africa industrialize, Africa develop, so that there's power right across Africa, you know, that we're in control of Africa's resources, the corporations, the companies and everything, we recognize that there are efforts, you know, to destabilize Africa as well. And the more we're aware about what's going on, and the more we're aware of the genocide agendas against us as a people, the more equipped we are to deal with it. Enough said from me. Let me go over. Rise Up the Jughead, who's donated £5. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. You know what? I'm going to put my my PayPal down there. I'll tell you why. Because YouTube actually takes something like 49% of the donations that you make. So if we get a tenner, you know, they're going to take £4.50 and we get £5.50. So I'll give you the PayPal, all right? But before I do, let me go over to Brother Kunta to introduce the topic, and then we're going to continue the discussion on the topic, and then we're going to go around to our individual panel members for input as we do. Thank you so much. Over to you, Brother Kunta.
All right then. Last time I think we didn't explain clearly the situation in Central African Republic. Last time we talked about it, but I think we didn't go deep inside, because that part of the history is very important also, because Central African Republic, they have border with Chad. Okay, and there's a lot of French activity in that area. Even last week, they said,
sorry to interrupt. His face is not in the screen, Brother Kunta.
Yeah.
We can see him now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I was saying there's a lot of French activity in that country. A lot of them. Last week, France is making a propaganda in which they accused the Russian of raping African women in a country. Okay, and it was all over France, all over the world. But actually, it's not truth. It was a propaganda for the Russian to be removed from the country, because that country, that's where France future is.
Can I just check? Because we're talking about Central Republic of Africa, where Russia is at the moment, because we heard last strong, that they came in, Russia came in to defend the president there against Chad. So there's a war going on between Russia and France right now on the continent, within that region.
They didn't have, it's not a physical, it's not like a war physically, but I'm sure, you know, they're fighting on the media with propaganda against propaganda. So the Russians said to France that when Hitler came to France and occupied France, the French, they called the world to save them. So this country here is attacked by rebels, and they have called Russia to come and free them. So when Russia want to free them, they said that the victory is not even far. They will remind France that there's a time in history they were occupied by Nazi, and today, you know, they want to be the Nazi of Africa, because Putin made a speech, said that France is acting like the Nazi, they act in France, the 1930s. Okay, even the currency they use in Africa, France use the same banking system that the Nazi used in France when they occupied France. When Hitler occupied France, they controlled the French banking system. And they made the Dutch mark stronger 5 times than the French currency. So when France had independence, when France was free from Germany, De Gaulle took the same system into Africa. Okay, so the banks, so African currency now is attached to the French currency. Okay, where France manipulate them. So which means that in your country, your currency doesn't belong to you. Your currency is controlled by France. Okay, that's why you have a lot of war. All those wars is linked to the fact that France, they have to destabilize to be able to take the loot from Africa, because those countries, they're rich. They have petrol, they have gas, they have diamond, they have gold, they have anything that France needs. France is a nuclear power country. France, they have more nuclear power energy in the world. They need a lot of the copper. They use all that. They found that in Chad, Niger, and Mali. Okay, so actually, with the coronavirus, France has a high debt, and France knows that Africa, that's the only place where they can come out from this economic crash that is coming. That's why Macron went to the funeral of Déby. France is coming back to Africa because France knows that if they lose Africa, France is going to be like Portugal or Spain or Greece. Themselves, they say it. They said that if France lose Africa, they said the president of France said that France will be a poor country, very poor, because he said that we live in France, we live good in France, because the African they have to be poor for us to live good. So the African hell is the French paradise, and they want to maintain that. But they don't want to maintain it, but almost they want to maintain that, okay? But they have to create black people like you and me to do that for them, because the French people, physically, they're not there, but they have people in there that look like you and me, who do the job for them, okay? So now Chad, you see Chad is a place where you see Libya is full of gas and petrol. Libya. So Chad is full of gas and petrol like Libya too on the border. Okay? A lot of the petrol and the gas which you find in Libya is also found in Chad. Plenty of gas, plenty of petrol. That's why that area there you have the Americans, because America is there. China is just like on the seaside there. Okay, waiting to enter. You have Turkey, you have Iran, you have India. All those people, that are there for the petrol and the gas.
All in Chad?
No, in Chad or next door. In Chad or next door countries. Because you see what happened in Africa, they're not together. If you go and destroy like Chad, Cameroon, they keep quiet. None of them will say anything. So France will go and mash up a country, but the other African countries, they keep quiet, like they're watching. None of them will say, Macron, you are wrong. You can't do all of them. They're scared. I don't know. It's fear, complicity, or maybe material gain. But they're scared. How can we be all in Africa, and France is destroying a country, and there's not even a African Union conferences where they have to blame them. They all keep quiet because each of them is scared. You see, so that fear. You see, France use fear of the African leaders when they're scared. They're scared because France can use all tactics to remove you physically, or it's a coup, or it's a civil war, or it's like a tribalism where France will have the power to intervene. So today in Africa, what we have, France is using black people like you and me, okay, to do the job for them, and it's working perfectly. You have black people that darker than me. You see, I'm dark like charcoal. Some of them are darker than me, but they're working for France. You look at them there, you see a black man, he's wearing this kind of things, living but at home. In the night time, he got his phone. He's working for the French secret police. Many Africa in Africa, mainly in the French Africa, a lot of them, they're working for France in the own country. Every night they take their phone and they inform. Yes, today I see that and that. That's the job there. So France doesn't need. They don't need to be in Africa because there are people like you and me that are there to maintain colonialism, exploitation. Even this, they create entertainment. Entertainment. They create dances, big show.
Oh yeah.
Football, Liverpool, Arsenal. They make it easy on the TV for people to watch TV. So they create that kind of like fun. With they can't even see. They can't even see that that go on the France is taking them from behind. De Gaulle said in 1958 when he came to Africa. At that time, Ghana was already gone. So African people, like Guinea-Conakry, they want to move from France. So he said Africa is like a goat. You see the goat? The goat, you put a rope on the neck of the goat like this. You tie it properly, and you put that by your door. Sometimes the goat will be angry and start to knock everywhere. So what you do, you loosen the knot. You make it a bit like a bit, so the goat can feel. So you start to have fun. But actually, you see, the rope is still there, but you think because they're loosening it. So he said, Africa, we have to loosen the rope. If not, it's gonna be broken, like in Vietnam. So we're gonna give them a bit of space, give them a fake independence,
yes,
and play them by behind. Give them a flag, give them a national Independence Day. After that, it's over. Nothing has changed. Nothing.
We hear you on my brother. Let me allow you to land and then bring in our panel members to interject at this point, please, Brother Kunta. Let me allow you to land.
Okay. I was saying, like, even our leaders today, most of them, yeah, they have houses in France. That's what it is. So it's like you are in Africa, but your home is Paris. Check that kind of game there. You are a president of the country for 20 years. After that, when you finish your mandate, you pack your stuff, and you go to France to live. What kind of you want? You have to be really like somebody who is mad in the head. A country that you love for 20 years, after you retire, you pack your family and you go and live in the enemy people. You're going to live in France, and France is smashing up your country. That means that you are just like a stooge of France. All right then.
Thank you so much for opening up the discussion here this evening, Brother Kunta. Let me go straight over to Dr. Abu and go around the table. Dr. Abu, what say you about the situation that's been described to us so far by Brother Kunta?
Well, once again, I want to rise up the panel and also yourself and the people that is taking in this vibration. I said it before, all what Kunta is talking about, those leaders are living out their French heaven. You understand? What we don't understand, I would fear to overstand that France not doing it alone. Yet France is doing it with the nod of all of the other rest of colonizers. You have hidden hands. You understand? And all of those people that he talked to you about that's on their phone, the ministers and all of those, they are junkies. They are hook and white privilege. You have some of them that running the country in Africa, but dreaming of a Miami heaven, a Bayswater heaven. an event in Tel Aviv. Hey, don't rule out these Israelis, you know. Them have a hidden hand in all of what's going on, you know. You know, you people who does not really do the research and realize that all the plays them that is happening, these Jews, remember, you know, they were the owner of many of the slave ships. You understand? You know, yeah, and they're dodging themselves. They're dodging themselves. You know, they're dodging themselves under this Holocaust, and they don't say the hell of a cost them brought on us. So we got to know all the hands them that is playing, because it's some serious hand that is playing, and these hands will forever played if we ignore our ancestor, if we ignore our ways, if we come off of our frequency. You know, the ancestor them is here reaching out for us, but we are reaching out for Holy Mary and all these mother of crap. You understand? And that's why we fall in these traps. You know, we must not be afraid or be ashamed to talk about the things them that we know is affecting us. And the things them that really affect us, you know, is European aggression. And it come in many forms. It come in Christianity, it come in democracy, and it also come in alternative lifestyle. It does affect us. You understand? Many of us witness the crime, but because of fear, we stay black. Do you understand what I'm saying? Many of us, you know, many of us know that. From the brother talk about France, the first thing coming to my mind, those goddamn thieves. You understand what I'm saying? That, you know, I can go to my ancestor with not a penny in the bank, but I give thanks and praise that I belong to one of the greatest nation on this planet Earth. I give thanks to know that from I come to this planet Earth, I never hear of this race or this nation or any other nation anything. Always the other rest of the nation is like a parasite on the back. So I said, give thanks to our great African nation that we come from and belongs to. Vudum.
Vudum, Dr. Abu. Give thanks. Let me bring in our sister Nzinga for her contributions at this stage. Rise up, Sister Nzinga.
Greetings. Yes, in fact, I'm coming to say very similar things myself, but I want to share something with you from a book I was reading today in preparation for the talk, and it's 500 Years of European Behavior, its Effects on Africa and African People, and it's by Nana Eko Utweku I, formerly known as Harold Dix. And he has this to say. Dr. John Henry Clarke did the introduction to the book, and why it's important you'll see as I go along. He looks at 500 years of European domination and human behavior in Africa in order to show some understanding of how this affects Africa today. Most Western trained Africans are poor imitations of Europeans. Some of them no longer adhere to the customs of their people or speak a traditional African language. This painful fact projects the question, what will Africans do in the future without a cadre of trained Africans committed to Africa and not to their former colonial masters? Some years ago, the distinguished Barbadian writer George Lamming said, there is a need for a generation of Africans trained in Africa by other Africans for the expressed purpose.
Sorry, is it my network or is our system freezing?
The question I ask with sadness is, How long will Africa have to wait for this generation that will serve Africa? Still moving about, Dr. Abu and Sister Sheila and Brother Kunta. Yeah, so it must be something on your... Anyway, I'm not going to take up, there's a lot that could be said, but I also want to share another part that he speaks to. It must be remembered that no invader...
Sorry for that interruption, Sister Nzinga. Sorry about that. I think you were freezing a little bit, or I wasn't sure if it was my end. But can you put that question again, please? How long, you said, how long will, what was that question you asked?
Go back. So the question is, how long have to for the next generation of people who will serve Africa and support Africa for the expressed purpose of African people and their needs? He says it must be remembered that no invader came into Africa to do the African good. This includes the Arabs as well as the Europeans who came into Africa. We must remove from our minds a concept that was false to begin with, the concept of the invader as a civilizer. The invader never brings civilization. They bring their way of life at the expense of other people and their culture. They create on religious and values of the people they invade, and the invader's religion becomes the handmaiden of their conquest. They engage in a form of brainwashing that would make henchmen apologize for being in their greatest conquest being the conquest of image of God. They destroyed the African's image of God and substitute a foreign image of God for them to worship. Any people who worship a God assigned to them by others is in big trouble. Now, I say that because clearly we all know that slavery has been ongoing since our first interaction with these people. There's no evidence that they plan to change the way they behave towards African people in particular and poor people across the world as a whole. We have no plan for that. And if we remember in Dr. Marimba's Ani's book, Urugu, where she critiques the European set and their behavior, she says they go into countries, they soften up the people by telling the people that they've come to help them. This is just the soften up before they come in for the kill, to destroy you, steal resources, and put you in dire poverty. Another book I was reading earlier and looking at was a great hero of mine, which is Thomas Sankara. Now, in his book, Sankara speaks, he was looking at how they massacred Samora Machel and others who were standing up for the liberation of the people of Mozambique. And he was talking about the way they brought down Samora Machel's plane, and then they created some big time lie, as they do, to say that this was an accident. And those who were waiting to step into into Samora Machel's shoes, they put it there as if it was the truth. So a big part of the problem is, if we are going to move forward as a people, we have got to work now to de-brainwash our families, all the people in our communities. This is both on the continent, in Europe, wherever we are, because as long as they can pick people off, buy people in, and get them to continue to collude with the exploitation of our resources, the exploitation of our people, they're never going to stop. If they stop, they're dead, because they've been feeding off of us for the longest time. You know, they're parasites, and they are not going anywhere without us standing up and throwing. And so there, I've got plenty more actually, and I'll share more as we go along. But I'm sure Sister wants to say something as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, our sis. Sister Nzinga for that sharing. Lorna is saying Africa is not underdeveloped, it is over-exploited. Certainly agree with you on that, Sister Lorna. Let's go over to our Sister Sheila. Welcome back, Sister Sheila.
Thank you very much. And today I have many stories for you. I don't know where to start from. I'm a storyteller. I'll start by saying that when you watch movies, a lot of these Western movies, they talk of good cop and bad cop when you watch the police movies. So you see the two cops go somewhere when they're going to investigate something, and there is a good cop and a bad cop. So the good cop speaks very nicely, very empathetically, while the bad cop is yes. While the bad cop is backing orders, they are working together. I say this in relation to what Brother Kunta said about the Russian having come to help us, and some story about rape, and it was all a frame to get the Russians out because the French are us, French, Russians, same group of people. All of them not good people. And I will go with what Sister Nzinga has said. No invader comes to civilize. No invader comes to help you. The invader has come to pillage, to steal, to do bad things to you. So don't fall for the good cop. The good cop is just as bad as the bad cop, even worse, because they make you think you're safe. So Russians in Africa, whatever thing it is, they look like they're doing good, they shouldn't. They need to be thrown out. And if they themselves can manage to throw each other out, if the Russians are thrown out by the French, may they work hard wherever they are and they throw out the French. Then they make our work easier. Let them go. They need to go. Anyway, it's an honor to be here. And I will start by saying this story. I was coming from work today, and I saw a garbage truck in front. I'm in the UK. So I saw a garbage truck in front. It was collecting rubbish. And I thought this truck is going to waste my time. My time here would be maybe 5 minutes. But I thought I can't really wait for this 5 minutes. So I decided, let me take a side road. Now, I lack spatial awareness. I get lost. So I took this side road, and it was a one-way system. So there was no turning. I had to go, turn the way it was turning. So I kept turning opposite from where I wanted to go because of the one-way system. So turning there led me to another turning, and within 15 minutes, I realized I was totally, utterly lost. It took me around 1.5 hours to reach home, a journey that takes me normally around half an hour. Just because I was lost, and the easiest thing would be for me to retrace my steps back, go behind that garbage truck and follow it. It would give way at one time and I would reach home. But I just thought, this is too much work to wait. So I got lost and lost and lost and lost. And in the end, for me to reach home, I had to retrace my steps, go back. Otherwise, I would never have reached home. Go back all the way back. But I managed to reach home. Why am I saying this? Because we Africans have lost our way. But we are so lazy and so tired to actually admit that we've lost our way and say we need to retrace our steps. And retracing our steps takes us back to what Dr. Abu was saying, going back to the ancestors, going back to the way we used to do our things. We need to go all the way back. But we are like me, who was getting lost, and we decided, you know what, I cannot just go back. Let me continue here where I am. And we continuing to get lost and lost. And that's why we end up having conversations like the Russians have come to save us, or the Chinese have come to save us, or the Arabs have come to save us. These are all same people. And if you look historically, they all come from the same place. And it reminds me, when we were children, we used to go to this church. They came to build a church in our home, in our village in Kenya, because they said we were heathens and we needed to be saved and the blood of Jesus needed to come and cover us. So they came to build a church. And we just saw a lot of white people. It was the first time we were getting close to white people. And they came to build in our church. And anytime we did not know, when they would say, I'm Irish, or I'm Scottish, or I'm French, or I'm Russian, or we didn't understand it. We just knew they were all, in Kenya we call them Wazungus. So we all knew they were Wazungus. And we even threw in the Chinese and the Indians and anyone that had that pale skin. We put them in one lot. Now, looking back, I think we had it right, we had it right to actually put him. Our instincts were telling us these are one people. So right now in 2021, we are in this place whereby we've fallen into these traps of saying there's the Jews that do this, and there's the Arabs that do this, and the Chinese, they do this. And you can trust the Israelis and leave the Germans, and you can do this. No. As long as we are the Africans, we should know that these people come together with their white supremacy, and that system is designed to make us lose, is designed to make us fail. So we cannot sit here and start categorizing them into their little tribes. Those are tribes, by the way, tribes of one family. We should not do that. We should just know these are people that do not wish us well. Now, Brother Kunta mentioned about the French having been colonized by the Nazis, the Germans. And the Germans, and when you talk about Germans, Jews coming in, these are family problems. Like with their wild wars, these were their family problems. They were their issues. They were their issues. And now we get drawn into these family issues. And now we're saying that, even the French being colonized by the Germans, this is their problem. These are two brothers fighting. Nothing to do with us. We should not even get involved. They should not spill over their fight to us. And if we need to borrow anything from them, sometimes you can learn things from your enemies, but you have to be very careful if you decide you want to learn from the enemies, especially brothers that are killing their own brothers. So what we can learn from them is to say, what did the French do to break free from Germans? Because clearly they did something, because now French and Germans are at an equal par. You go to France, they speak French, they do French things. So unless they themselves tell you that we were colonized by the Germans, you won't even know. So somehow they managed to break free from the Germans, that to the point that they became so strong that they went and colonized more countries than the Germans ever did. So we need to know what is it that they did that they managed to break free, because they're telling us that it's possible to break free from your colonizers. So that is one of the things, if we need to borrow anything from that, is that. And one thing, when someone has shown you consistently poor treatment, someone has treated you like dirt, like rubbish, this is not the person that comes and says, finally, we agree, we've treated you like rubbish. We do not need their validation. We already knew that they were treating us like rubbish. We already know now they're treating us like rubbish. So this is the point whereby we don't go to them wanting to understand why they did this or this. This is whereby we sit down and say, they have treated us like rubbish. What are we going to do about this?
100.
And when we are saying, what are we going to do about this? We do not look to one of their brothers, even if they're fighting with that brother. We do not look to that brother to say, okay, what is their brother saying? No. We Africans need to reach that place whereby we stand up and say, these are our enemies and these are our brothers. And once we reach that point whereby we know these are our brothers, and thank God to the Most High. The Most High has made us know, we know our brothers just by looking at them. We don't even have to go and do much. We can just look and, okay, this one, yes, from the looks, this is my person. So we start from that point. And from the looks, this is not my person. This is my enemy. This is a beneficiary of the system that comes from, that has been harming us. It is as simple as that. We have a lot of invaders in our African soil. As Sister Nzinga has read there, these invaders did not come with good intentions. They did not come to civilize then. They have not come to civilize now. We should not even for 1 minute think they are our friends and they've come to civilize us. No. As Sister Nzinga has read, they come to soften us. And they soften us, and we sit there and we say, oh, yes, they're softened. These ones are good ones. These ones are not like the other ones. In fact, these ones have even suffered colonial from the other type. No, we Africans know we are the ones we are waiting for. We are the ones to save ourselves. And we have to make these very tough decisions and know that, you know what, we cannot keep on giving people chance after chance, people that have shown us beyond reasonable doubt that they don't have good intentions for us. We cannot now say, oh, they've had a parade, they've now agreed, they've done this. No, we cannot say, oh, these ones are now coming to help us. No, total rejection. Going back to the beginning, where we were before all these problems came. To 500 years, that's for the white person, for the Caucasus, from the people from the Caucasus Mountain, and 2,000 years from the Arabs. It's much, much more. We just have to wake up and know that it's only us that can save ourselves. Vudam, my people.
Well said.
Boom, rise up, Sister Sheila. Oh my days, lots of thumbs up for you in the chat, and people concurring with what you're saying there, my sis. And I also noticed someone's posted in the chat that we've only got 44 likes, although we've got 140 people watching us. Please, everybody, do give us a thumbs up. That's all we're asking. And if you want to do more than that, like our brother, the Judge Head has done, you're welcome to do so. But rather than donate via YouTube, because they gobble up such a big amount, please donate via PayPal. Much appreciated. I was talking to someone today who's saying that they're going to try and get me some editors and designers to help with the marketing and promotional work that needs doing to get information out there about these shows, because as you've been hearing, the contribution is just invaluable and you're not going to hear it anywhere else. So let's see what the Judge Head has said. Thank you so much for that contribution, Brother Jeff. It says, Sister Shanice, we cannot wait for the 99% to wake up. The 1% with some sense need to unite and build our Venus project. Jacques Frescol, look him up. And this will stimulate the other 99% to action. Brother Jeff, let me put that question out to Dr. Abu. Dr. Abu, Brother Jeff says, we can't wait for the 99% to wake up. The 1% has basically just got to get on and do the works. What say you, my brother?
Well, the brother is right, you know, because it take one to start. You understand? You know, we always follow the European narrative. You understand? And we always end up into a dead end road or a diversion. You know, but the start have to be genuine. You know, you have to go back to the source. We can't start the book from the middle. We have to start it from the beginning to get the full essence of what the writer is saying. You know, we get on in at the middle of this thing, and the man have we all in the Middle East, you know, and all of them things. Then we get confused, you know, and I never know that even the middle of a East, you know, much less West, you know, and this is the confusion. This is the confusion where we get caught in and don't see what they're playing us. You understand? You know, I think Empress Nzinga would remember this ring game. Room for rent, apply within. As I run out, then you run in. Remember the ring game?
No, I've not heard of it. No,
yes, the ring game. You understand? But this is what these colonizers is singing. Room for rent, apply within. As I run out America, you run in France. And I saw them of our people them, you know, see, and them only want a white girl in the ring. You understand? You know, is we try to change it, and that's how the whole addiction. That's how the whole addiction, because we never want a black girl in the ring. You understand? We want a fear, you understand, and then give us all these addiction songs. All things white and wonderful. You understand? You know, we got to realize how good nature is to us. That although them send us from Africa and ships to the Caribbean and the Americas, our cola nuts still follow us. We call it all busy. So nature never left us. We left nature. Until we get back to where we need to get back, then I'm telling you, dog nyam with supper. Vodum.
Rise up, Dr. Abu, as always. Thank you so much. Let's go to the chat and let's see what other comments we've got there that we might want to bring in. And let's see. Sister Nzinga, you may want to comment on this. DJ, the Jamaican Junker channel said, we have no friends outside of the race and very few friends within. What would you like to comment on that, please, my sis?
Well, the truth is, as Dr. Abu has just been saying, we are a brainwashed people, and you know, so much work needs to be done for our people to reclaim themselves and who they are. Because I've seen people, even this morning we had the issue where people are talking about Jesus and God and you know, Christianity, and I'm not going to be knocking anyone, but if we don't emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, how are we going to know what the work is that needs to be done? So those who are trying to show us, we're dissing them. You know, it's like you're cussing bad word when you're talking to some of our people. So it is a big problem for us. Emancipate ourselves from mental, because when our mind is emancipated, we can see clearly what needs to be done, and we will want to be working with people who are doing that work. So this is a big problem. I also want later on, if you've got time, to I wrote many years ago called "We're going to have to fight with what we have."
Yes, sis.
Are you all right
there? There on that note?
Okay. If you'd like, because it just speaks to what we are talking about here. Okay, so the poem is called "We're going to have to fight with what we have." We cannot afford to wait for everyone to join in the liberation fight of our people. Some of us will have to be left behind. Many will have to catch up in their own time. Some will want a foot in both camps. Don't let that deter you nor upset your mind, because we're going to have to fight with what we have. Slave rebellions defeated guns, sticks and bottles and bricks, and make ample weapons. Even children have joined the fight, unafraid, feeling blood right ahead, as if we been oppressed far too long. We Africans have been oppressed far too long. We Africans have been oppressed far too long. In twos and threes we'll be victorious. Our struggles must come to an end. We are an African people, rich in history, rich in culture, rich in ancient ancestry. We are people rich in gold, diamonds, and other wealth. Our history has been down, but we are about to rise and announce to the world that you cannot keep this African nation down. Our ancestors have awakened in their tombs and are spurring us on to victory. I can feel their spirit moving on inside me, stating loudly, Africa and Africans will be free. Africa and Africa and Africa will be free. African race isn't cursed, they say to me, you are blessed. So rise up out of your apathy and set your ancestors' mark history and fight with what you have. If as a people you believe that you are cursed, then you have cursed yourself. If as a people you believe that you are defeated, then you have defeated yourself. If as a people you don't fight for the right to be free and self-determining, then you have no right to complain about your slavery. Only those who love the race enough will fight for our rights. So sisters, don't wait on anyone. Join in the struggles of our people and remember that they're going to have to fight with what we have. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Powerful poem indeed. Thank you so much for that, Sister Nzinga. We are going to have to fight with what we have. And that poem took me back to the enslavement plantations, the concentration camps where we were kidnapped and taken. We had to fight with what we had, and we won. Yeah, despite looking down the barrel of guns, looking down those cannons, you know, those big things that the cannons come out, we still fought and we still won. It must have looked absolutely impossible to our ancestors, you know, who all they had was maybe the cutlass, you know, and their bravery and their courageousness. But they decided that they would rather die fighting than to live a life as a slave, because they wanted their children and their children's children, us, to enjoy the freedoms that they were unable to enjoy. And there comes a time when a generation has to make a sacrifice so that the future, can live on. And, we need to wake up. We are waking up. But as, our brother Jeff was saying, maybe we can't wait for the 99%. And I'm sure, during those times on the plantation, it wasn't all of the enslaved Africans who joined in the fight. It would have been the few, and then others would have joined in afterwards. The few brave ones, the few courageous ones who decided enough is enough. And there would have been those who would have said, no, don't start any trouble. Master go whip we, master now go feed me tonight. Somehow we are go bomb. There would have been those who would have said, no. But those who decided enough is enough, we will fight with what we have, were the ones that made the difference. Rise up, Sister Nzinga. Let me go back over to Brother Kunta. Brother Kunta, the floor is yours. Thank you for your patience. Let's go back to, the history and the enlightenment that you were bringing to us, my brother, before we took the pause for the current affairs.
All right. Before I start, I would like to answer to the question that Sister Nzinga asked. The generation that will sell Africa, when that generation will come out. So I'm sure it's not going to be in our times. It's not possible. And even our grandchildren, maybe it might be our great, because the brainwashing in Africa is higher than here. If you go to Africa, the generation today, in our time, we're brainwashed, but still, the culture was not gone completely. We still have something to hold on. But today, the young generation in Africa today, there's nothing left. They finished them completely. So if you talk to the youth today in Africa about culture, they laugh at you. At least we have pride. But today, the brainwashing has reached its maturity. Okay, because it was a plan. The plan was for a long-term plan. So now the plan is working properly. Okay, so for us to have young people that will say Africa, we have to go back to the school and change the curriculum and create an African man who is proud of who he is, who knows his own history, who knows where he is, and who is very, very ready to change things. Today, the generation today, is pleasure. They use sex. They use sex. Sex is the tool of the European people in Africa. So the youth today, the mind is not into progress. Their mind is into pleasure and fun, having fun, dancing, singing, and that's it really. Few of them are not like that. But the majority of the African today, they're brainwashed, sister. They're so brainwashed that the dream is to go to France, is to go to Germany, is to go to England. They will tell you that there's nothing for me here. So you say, well, in our country, they say there's nothing for me here. I'll let you know we love our country. So today is finished. Africa has to change the curriculum and create a better education, give the children, a better mind for them to love themselves. Okay? If you go to Africa, everybody's bleaching the skin. They bleach. Myself, they look at me and say to me, oh, bro, you're too dark. So I say, all right, then, why I'm too dark? They say, oh, you're too dark. You live in Europe and you are so dark like that. So people, they think that, if you're dark, it's not beautiful. But if you have that kind of color that is a bit like brown, you're pretty. Even, if you go to the OBR man, he said to that, if you want to give something to somebody, give it to a light-skinned man. Like, if you go to the OBR man, you say to Arden, you have to offer this and that. When you offer that, give it to a light-skinned man. So even the OBR man himself, he doesn't believe that a black man can bring you luck. You see, that's the mindset that we have. Our mind is so destroyed that we need a better education. Okay? That's what I have to say about the question that you ask. It's the mind. I haven't seen that generation that we South Africa. It's not today. Maybe in 100 years' time. But not us, not our children. The propaganda of Europe has already taken over the head. Yes. That's what I have to say about that.
Okay, brother Jeff, you know, he's saying, I do not mean to be impatient with our people. I disagree with Brother Kunta. It will have to be in our lifetime because we only have 3 to 4 decades to build our nation. I'm not sure why it's only 3 to 4 decades, but you know, our brother feels a sense of urgency around this. He feels that we can't wait. It has to be us. We are the ones who have to do what needs to be done to build our continent. I agree with Brother Kunta in terms of the mind, you know, the importance of the mind. Because if we all woke up tomorrow and decided, one, you know, first and foremost, I'm an African and I'm going to love everybody who looks like me and I'm going to love the skin that I'm in. You know, we wouldn't pick up a gun to kill someone who looks like us or a knife to stab someone that looks like us. You know, we would realize that all we have is each other and we need to work together, you know, and we would start doing that. And the minute we all start working together as a people, trusting each other and having confidence in each other, oh, wow, the sooner we'll be the change that we want to see. But as we know, there is so much out there that has been deliberately set there to divide us. Hence why, you know, to a large extent, we're struggling here and we've got the challenges that we're experiencing. Let me go back to you, Brother Kunta, to go back to the main topic for discussion. If you want to pull up the map, I can find our map again and pull that up for you as well.
Yeah, please.
Okay, carry on, my brother Kunta.
Okay. Let me come. Yes, I was talking about the mentality that we have as African. Can be the British side too, you know. It's not because sometimes we talk about France, but if you go to the British side, I think the propaganda even, you know, is deeper in there. Okay, because the way I see it, it's like there's a lot of a complex of inferiority in both sides. I love, like, if you go to the French part of Africa, people, they have a complex of inferiority of the European man and the Arab man. If you go to the center, they have an inferiority complex of the British people and the French people. But in the north, they have two complex, like Senegal and Gambia. That's it. It's two. They have to face two things. You have the European complex, which is the British one or the French part, and you have the Arab complex to religion. So those guys in the north there, you know, they have to face two different mind. In their mind, they're fighting against the colonial mind. They're fighting against the religious oppression, which is the domination of the Arab people. And on the other side, they try to be an African man. So the struggle in their head is so intense that some of them, you know, they're defeated. Because in the morning, you're going to talk like a European man. On Friday, you say Assalamu alaikum, alhamdulillah, like you become an Arab man. Okay? So you see, people that have three different personality is dangerous. Okay? If you have three different personality, you know, you become three people. It's dangerous. You have to be one person, but in there, you know, people that have split personalities. And that's why Africa is not stable. Because we know ourselves. We have a bit of this, a bit of that, and a bit of that. And that's it. So the African part is the smallest part of us. Maybe 30% is Muslim, you're Arab man. 40% is French because you speak French. So the African part of you, you know, is only 10% only. All right then. Let's go to the map. And I'm going to show you the war in Chad. Okay? In Chad, you have about one, two, three, about like 6, 7 countries that board Chad. Each of them, they have militia, and the militia, you see the militia, they have different masters. Some of the militia is Qatar, Bahrain, that sponsor them. In the other part, you have the militia that France sponsor them. You have some militia, I'm sure it's America that sponsor them. And you have some militia, it's Libya that sponsor them. So you see, Chad, he has to face all those militia there. Okay? So which create in Chad a state of emergency that needed a government that's stable. That's why the guy was there for 30 years. Because a country like Chad need to have a government that is strong. Okay? So when they kill this man here, when they kill the president now, France is scared. Because France is thinking that, you know, the Russian will take over. Because the Russian here, they here, it's not for petrol. They're here for strategy. This is the center. You see Africa, you see the center, like Chad, you see Chad, it's a link between the North Africa and South Africa. You see, from Chad, you can go to Libya, you can go to Algeria and Morocco. So you are from Chad, you are in Europe. That's why they were a bit scared. If Chad become like a place where the Russians will take over, they will take over Africa. Okay, because Russia is there. Russia is in Africa not for money, but for political strategy, and they want to be part of the game. Because Africa, you know, is a game taking place in Africa, a game. So Russia, you know, has to be part of the game. So they're here. Okay, if you go to Cameroon, you have the French. Okay, but the French in Cameroon, they have also supported the president that is there, even though he's not a good man. They support him. So from Chad, you see from Chad, the Chad went there, you know, to save Cameroon, because Cameroon, the jihadists, they were at the door of Cameroon. Okay, here, Cameroon here. So they have to call Chad, and Chad come and save them. Nigeria, the same thing. Nigeria, when Boko Haram came here to the Great Lakes, you see the Great Lakes? You see Chad? Yeah, you see the Great Lakes there? When Boko Haram came here and started to destroy this area of Nigeria, they called Chad. When they called Chad, the man came, he sent his troops, himself, he went there. They run down and they clear up this place here. Clean. So the place clean. Here in Nigeria here. That's why Nigeria is saying that if Chad is not stable, Nigeria will be destabilized again. Okay? Because the man they call a dictator is him that was saving Nigeria too. Because Nigeria is a big country. They have a big army. But Chad, it's not the number. They know how to fight. They know how to fight in the Sahel more than the Nigerians. That's why Nigeria called them. They went there and they did a good job in Nigeria. Niger, the same thing. Niger, they have jihadists in there. Chad have to go there. Chad have to send a soldier to save them. Mali on the top. Mali on the top. Mali, when they had the war, when the jihadists were but they were going to take Mali because half of Mali was already gone. The French came there and they called Chad and Chad here. You see, the rebels, they took over all that. You see, Bamako, the capital, they were just like few miles. The rebels, they were few miles. They called Chad. When Chad came there, Chad saved them. He sent 1,000 soldiers to go and face the rebels. Within a week, Mali was back to normal. Chad went there and fought for them. So today in Africa, you know, we have people that can fight for us because maybe we don't have the same skills. Okay, but France is the only country in the area here, from Algeria to Ivory Coast, all that is from France. If you look at the north here, look at Africa. If you take the Arab part and you take all Africa, you go to the bottom. France has taken about 35% of Africa. About 35% of Africa, you know, or 40% of Africa, you know, is French. Okay, so that's why a lot of people, you know, they don't understand that France is like a vampire. Okay, and it's very hard for us to see that his games that he plays, his mental game, is the mind that he uses. France, they know exactly how to control the black people. Okay, that's how they learn. It's a science. You see, in the 1600s, they say in France that God, the Almighty God, gave Africa to the European. He said the Almighty God gave that empty land to Europe. Okay? They said Africa is empty. Even though our ancestors were there, for them it's empty because we just ate. So in France, in 1600, they say God gave them Africa. God gave it to them. So today, nothing has changed. Still today, France, they own it because that God is the right of God. God gave them Africa. He said, let's turn our poor farmer to landowner. Because in France, you had farmers that were poor in 1600. They didn't have no farm, nothing. He said, let's turn our poor farmer to landowner in Africa. Africa is the land. It's free. It's a virgin land. God gave France Africa. Let's go and take it. It doesn't go to no one. Imagine that. In the Parliament of France, in the Parliament, that's how they spoke. They say Africa is empty. It's an empty land. Because there's nobody in there. Even though we were there. Okay? So France, the mindset of 1600 never changed. Because Africa is the bread basket of France. There's nothing in France. Nothing. There's nothing in there. But it's a rich country. But the wealth of France is based on the exploitation of Africa. With the complicity of the African leaders, the army, the judges, and the civil service. All of them are accomplices. The education system is a French system. Okay? So the child is taught from school, to be a crook. To be a crook. You see, corruption it comes from the education we have from school. Because the education you have at school is an education of conman. Crooks from France coming to Africa to crook. So you learn the history of crooks. So if you're a child, the only thing you see in your books is about how to learn how to be a conman. Because people that came to Africa, they were con people. So we learned at school how to become a conman. So the corruption in Africa, is part of the colonial system. Corruption, it mash up the country, it mash up the future of the country, all that. So the European man, they put that in there, corruption. So you see, we are so corrupted that we don't even have a love for the neighbor who is next to the neighbor. It don't have no food to eat. But you know that if you don't pay tax, okay, you destroy the country. But France, what they do, they come to our country, they don't pay tax. They don't pay tax. They control the judiciary, they control the radio, because in Africa, the media is not strong. So they put the media there. They put the TV in Africa. So if you go to Africa, 1 o'clock, you see people having sex on the TV. So before, back in the days, I had a wife, she's half Jamaican, half French. We went to Africa, we went to Senegal. We were eating, on the TV. They were showing a Brazilian film where they were kissing on the bed. And she said to me, what the hell is that in England? They don't show that in England. At 1 o'clock, people are in bed like that. And the children are sitting there watching. They said to me, I said to me, see, that's the danger of France pushing sex into our children. So I remember in Africa, when I was 18 until 16, I never had sex. I don't even know, I didn't know what a woman means. Until I was 18 or 19, I didn't know nothing. Nothing. Because that's the culture. But today, the children at 12, they're talking about a boyfriend and a girlfriend in Africa. Like here. So imagine, that kind of pervert mind there. That mind there, it's not a mind that will be Africa, that will be Africa. It's a mind that is based already on the sexual part of the man. The man is done already. The kids, 12, 14, they have the sexual life, they're active already. So I couldn't understand. I said to them, but you, how come you are 14 talk about a girlfriend in Africa? It's not part of our culture. So you see, the post was moved by the European people with the children now, they're active at 14, 12, 11. Okay? So imagine people like that, what kind of society you're going to have tomorrow? A perverse society where people, they become crooks, conman, sexual addict. They hate themselves, they bleed their skin. Anything they have, the thief, they take it to Switzerland to put in the account. African future is based on the fact that we have to educate ourselves. There's no issue. We can look about it. If our mind is not, if our mind is not back into the African Sankofa thing, we can go nowhere. Nowhere. There are countries that are doing good. Few, like Botswana, they're doing a bit good. Like Cape Verde, they feel them doing good. When the people are living better, okay? But most of Africa, is still poverty. The poverty in Africa, is higher than when we were young. So the world is going up, Africa is going down. The road, when I was young in the 80s, there were good roads. Today, all the roads they mash up. How can you build a country that is not going forward? The country is going backward. And when they come, they talk nice. They wear suit and tie. Okay? All right then. Okay then.
Thank you, my brother. I mean, while I was talking as well there, I was looking at the map of France, and you can hardly see France on the map, but here is France, here is Africa. It's embarrassing, really. It's really the case of David and Goliath, isn't it?
Exactly.
You've got little France here, and this is Africa. This is Africa, over 1 billion people. And France, when you look at the size of France, it's, let's have a look, where have I got the size of France? An area of 643,000 square kilometers compared to Africa, which is 30.3 million square kilometers. France has a population. Let's see where we can see the population of France. A population of 67 million people compared to Africa's 1.2 billion. So it really is the control of the mind. We're not being controlled by might, in my opinion. Okay, they might have some of the most latest weapons, but we talked about our enslavement and how we can use our mind to create weapons. So let me ask the panel to jump in here and just comment on the situation that we're faced with when we look at it in terms of its geographical context, the size of France vis-a-vis, let's try and articulate the situation that we're in today. We know where we were post-enslavement, and we could be blindly walking back into a situation because we've just been hearing France is all over Africa, colonizing the minds of Africans. So to the point where we've got Africans who are like afraid of even talking their own African language and look forward to retiring in France. They've got the whole of Africa paradise, but they're looking, rather than, retire somewhere on the continent to shut themselves here some. Sister Sheila, what's your analysis of this, please?
My analysis of this is to agree with Bertha Kunta and say that the education system that we have in Africa right now is an education system that is it's a con. It's something that is a scam. It's basically something that needs to be outlawed. If I became the president of Africa today, the first thing I would do, I will criminalize the education that's there, and I will also criminalize religion. Those two things, I will criminalize them, and anyone that will practice any foreign religion or anyone that would practice any of this education that we have in African soil right now, I will throw them in jail. And I'll say this, with education is something that targets the young people. Nzinga asked, how long are we going to wait for this generation of the Africans to come and liberate us? And I will say, for as long as we have young children, that generation is already here. So it depends. It is just a matter of how we are going to educate the young. So you find here in the UK, when they're looking at the curriculum that is there right now in the UK, they are now learning about, in the primary school, they're learning about poor countries and rich countries. And they are telling, if you've got any child in a UK primary school, this is the curriculum that they are learning this week. They are looking at the poor countries of the world, and African countries are the ones that they say the poorest countries are in Africa, then in Asia. That is what's there now. So for me, what I do when I am with African children, I remove the map of Africa and I say, look at the resources that are in Africa. then I tell them Africa is not poor. And I say, so they ask, if Africa has got all these things, why did they say it's poor? And I tell them, if someone wants to steal things from you, they will tell you you're poor so that you don't know you've got these things. And then I take the education and I tell them how rich Africa is. And from that conversation, we start looking at geographically where the world's resources are. We also go and look at the map of the West, and we look at what resources are in the West as compared to the resources that are in Africa. We also look at the geographical map, the landscape, the size of the West as compared to the size of Africa. And Europe is really tiny. Europe, not only France, the whole of Europe compared to Africa is very tiny. And America plus Europe, they still don't make up the landmass of Africa. So these are things I teach children, and we can go online and look, and they can see for themselves. And they start now questioning. This I teach African children. They start now questioning that narrative. So they get it in their heads that when they see something, they have to go to Google, because nowadays children know about Google. They have to go to Google and ask more questions. Last year in the UK schools, they were teaching about the Mayan Empire, and then they also taught about the civilization in Egypt, in Kemet. So they do teach them this, but they do not tell them that these are Black people. So what I do with the African children, I say, let us Google and see, how did the Mayans look like? You know, how did the ancient Egyptians look like? And they see Black people, and they say, look, they look like you. So this is whereby we, as the people that are adults now, we need to start educating our children differently. This is how we bring up a generation that is very much aware. We should not expect our children to go through this white supremacist education and then expect change. So we start with these little children, and we have these little children in our homes, in our communities. They are there. These are the children that we start teaching them. We start telling them about these conversations we have. Like for me, when I'm coming to speak about this, I make sure the children around me know that I'm going to speak around this. And they may say, why are you speaking about this? I say, oh, have you heard of Mozambique? Have you heard of Chad? And then we have a conversation around this. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as us speaking positively about Africa, speaking positively about Black people, speaking positively about our history, our culture, our spirituality, our cuisine, our names. These are the things we need to start speaking positively, because the future of our people is in the imaginary. We have something called the African imaginary, and that is something we build in the minds of our children. So the children start thinking of Africa as this beautiful place with beautiful people. And when they start thinking of things like that, they start creating that healed Africa. It is the children that will create it. But for the children to create it, we need to feed that seed in them. We need to plant that seed in them. And that is the work that we need to start doing now. So sometimes what we have to do as an African people, we have to focus more on what we want as opposed to what we don't want. Like, we want this Africa that is healed, Africa that is solid, Africa that is protecting its resources for its people. Because right now what we have in Africa, like I was reading about Mozambique when I was preparing to come to this show today. I was reading about Mozambique. Mozambique is at war. Mozambique has never had peace. They are insurgents. They say Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Muslim insurgents up in the north. They are armed, very armed. By who, you ask? And you would find we always have one lot that is always arming African people to hurt other Africans. And then you ask Mozambique, why Mozambique? Mozambique, this is one of the, according to the UN's list, is one of the third poorest countries in the world. So in terms of poor countries in the world, all of them, Mozambique is number 3 from bottom. Mozambique itself is mineral rich. It is rich. It's got one of the rarest mineral called tantalum or tantanite. Very, very rare. And on the site itself, anywhere you Google, it tells you that anyone that controls this mineral controls the world. Mozambique has got the largest deposit of it. Mozambique has got the largest deposit of coal. There is gold there. There is diamond. Mozambique has got so much untapped resources. And then they've got the liquefied natural gas. Mozambique is resource rich. Why is it poor? Why are they at war? Who is funding the war? And you'll find this is the story of Chad as well. You'll find this is the story of wherever there is resources, there's minerals and resources, there is war in that place. And there is war with people being armed. Now, we African people are not people that go into arms. We are not people that kill others with arms. I travel a lot. And I travel a lot sometimes around Europe because it's easier to travel around Europe. Again, white supremacy has made it easier to travel around Europe than to travel around Africa. Because in Africa, there's the visa system and there is, sometimes it's just headache. Sometimes it's easier to travel in Africa with a UK passport than with my Kenyan passport, which in itself is a tragedy. So when I'm traveling around Europe, one thing that is very consistent is that wherever I go in Europe, there is always canons. Canons were mentioned here that, Sister Shanice, you mentioned that our ancestors were fighting with what they had. And you mentioned cannons, that, they were in the plantation fields and the cannons were coming and they were throwing fire at them and our ancestors were fighting. Now, when you travel across Europe, you will always come across cannons. There is nowhere you will not get cannon. And whenever you see cannon, they were fighting. They were fighting each other. They say tribal wars, family wars. Now, we Africans are not a fighting people. We are not the people with this culture of having these weapons to fight. So when you come to a country that is resource rich and you find they're fighting and they're armed, you will know where that arm came from. We know the people with the history of making arms. If you go in the UK, there is a place called Colonial. They've got a Royal Air Force Museum. And in that Royal Air Force Museum, it's free. So any of you in the UK, go to Colonial and see the Royal Air Force Museum. When you go in there, they've got all weapons you can think of. They've got grenades. I didn't know grenades were big, massive, wide things. And they say this one, and they tell you different grenades and how they work. They've got the airplanes, the Air Force. So they've got the little jets and airplanes, and they say this one, I don't know, can carry how many weapons. Basically, it's a museum full of weapons. These people sat down and just made weapons to kill people. So now it is us in Africa that are being given these weapons to kill each other so that we can make them welcome to come and help us. And in the process of helping us, they steal our resources. And this is the problem we have in Africa. We are not protecting our resources, including the human resource. Because when we're killing each other, we're killing our human resource. We ourselves are a resource. So when we are killing this, we're making it easy target for these thieves to always come and steal things from us and go and build their country. Whereas for us, when eventually we realize these are resources and we can, use them to build our futures, we put them in our pocket. These are our leaders now coming in. They take these resources and put them in their pocket. They are in the Western banks. We ourselves Africans take these resources and put them in the Western banks as well. So we also promote their economy while depleting ours. And that's why we end up always being the poor people. We thought we are poor, but we are only poor in the dollars, in the currency, and things like that, but we are resource rich. But the thing is that we are inviting thieves to come to our continent and take away these resources. And not only are they taking away the resources, they're also bringing divisions amongst us, bringing their fights amongst us. And that's why you hear, places like, when you go to places up north, you hear the French are fighting the English on African soil. So you hear that some people are aligned, or you hear these Muslims and Christians fighting, African Muslims fighting African Christians. That in itself, these are not our wars. These are not our religions. These are not the things we should be doing, And it comes down to this thing. We have forgotten who we are. We are now bowing down to the religion of the colonial master. We are now going through an education system. This is the disservice we are doing our children. Our children are going through the education system that was put in place by the colonial master. And for as long as our children go through this system, that becomes their norm, that becomes their narrative. And then it becomes harder for them to actually fight for Africa when there is nothing positive about Africa, when all they know is that they were not civilized until the invaders came and civilized them. When they know they are fighting each other until the invaders come and, and bring peace. So what I would say to us as a people, the work is for us to work on our young generation. It is for us to tell our young generation the truth. And we are living in a world whereby knowledge is so easily available. So this is the time we need to start speaking to our children and speaking to them very boldly, very proudly as Africans, and telling them of our history, our heritage, our rich history, our rich heritage, as African people and learning about melanin. Brother Kunta, you said people say you should lighten your skin. These are people that do not know about the power of melanin. If they knew what melanin does, we that are melanin dominant, if we knew what power, what God power the melanin is, people will be running to get dark, not light skin. And one reason why we are so much put under and repressed and oppressed by the pale Caucasians is simply because of our melanin. Because our melanin gives us natural advantage. It gives us so much power. So we have to be kept down so that we don't, reap that power. We don't activate that power. But these are the things we need to be speaking to our children. It is our children that we need to teach them from a young age the things about Africa, the true beauty of Africa. I give thanks.
Give thanks, sis. Give thanks.
That's
indeed.
Right,
another phenomenal contribution from you. Lots of comments in the chat as well. Dr. Abu, we haven't heard from you for a while. Let's go over to you, Dr. Abu, and hear your thoughts. Maybe on some of the things that people are saying in the chat. Lydia is saying, if they are using the same playbook, why are Africans blind to see it? You can see the Europeans coming a mile away with their bag of tricks. With us, Dr. Abu, why are some of our leaders not seeing the bag of tricks?
Well, it's a lot of reasons. When our ancestor was in the belly of the ship, we allow a white slave captain to write the lyrics, and we're still damn singing it. All the great musicians, all the Quincy Jones, all the this we have, how come they can't write a lyrics to fit that melody? Because the whole of them is addicted to whiteness. Imagine our ancestor in the belly of the ship humming these melodies, and we sit and we bury our people them with the same slavery tune and doom them, and we ask the question why. Me, the first thing I would ban in our country is amazing disgrace. If I ever tell you the truth,
no,
I don't, it's one thing, ask anyone, we don't play that thing on Galaxy Radio. You understand, And I encourage our people, it's the biggest obia on the African people by European. Amazing disgrace. And we're sitting asking why we in this predicament. When African in the church singing, someday, I'll go where Jesus live. England, Canada, and America, and France. This is what they're talking about. And we sit here, don't see the mess that we're in, and playing games with people's lives. You understand? Well, if you don't get out of that, the man should have beaten her every day, right? Today, yesterday, them used to say that the reason why them have to do that is because we're suffering from droptomania. Yeah? Today they don't call it droptomania no more to cut off our foot. They call it arthritis. They call it all kind of bloody thing. And we sit here and sucking the man lollipop and complaining that we have toothache. What kind of blows that hypocrite? We are hypocrites. We African people are the living hypocrites, and we get punished by our hypocritical way. Simple as that. Simple as that. We forsake our forefathers and our ancestor ways, and we turn to the oppressor, and then we are asking why we're going through this. Yeah? They want to booger our little boys, rape our little girls, and we put our hands up and said, I'm all for it. Just give me a villa in Miami, and we sell out our people, blood. We sell them out because we are an addict. And we have to agree that we are an addict to whiteness. Simple as that. I ain't gonna apologize to no one for what I'm saying. I will never do that. You see, one of the things that they sell us is this forgiveness. Teeth and tongue may say something, but memory will never let it fade away. You understand? Wake up, my people, and stop forgive them for the nastiness that they've been doing to us, and stand up and fight for your liberty. Fight for your liberty. Vodum.
Respect.
Vodum, Dr. Abu. Lots of agreement in the chat as well. Ubuntu said, go on, Dr. Abu, Vodum. Brother Jeff, 200% correct. You know, enough big up in the chat, Dr. Abu. And over to grid, plant-based oops, might be back. He's saying not to see it. They are afraid, and they are sworn into the Western satanic where they form rituals and are binded by the rules of the Brotherhood. What say you in response to that comment, please, Sister Nzinga? Is our sister frozen?
No, I'm okay.
Or is it me?
Okay, yeah, well, you know, I just support all of what was said, and I particularly want to big up Sister Sheila for what she was saying there about the teaching of the children and changing the narrative. I was on a Zoom conference at the University of the West Indies earlier this year, and they had a Nigerian professor who lived in Jamaica speaking, and this is exactly saying we need to change the narrative. We cannot progress on the existing narrative. It has to change. And we are the agents of change to do that. Nobody's not going to come from nowhere. So we will have to take responsibility, whether in our families, in our communities, wherever we are, to change the narrative. Make sure they're getting the books, the information, because otherwise nothing is going to change. Every single one of us. Look, when people come in my house, as them through the door, them meet Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and the whole host of ancestors and people who, my house look like me, my family, and my community, and my heritage. And wherever I go, I'm also responsible for helping the local youth club. We bring in African speakers to talk to them so that they can understand that they have a long history, long before anybody else have history on this planet. We have history. You know, we have to take responsibility. You think come re-educate us to over them? No. So that is our job for every single one of us. It's not complaining because it ain't going. So we better take on the job and be our homes, in our community, in our family, no matter what. And as for that song where Brother was talking about, I make anybody I hear singing it know where it come from, and that them is a disgrace to be singing. So as I say, we have a job to do, and we need to get on the case because this stuff isn't going anywhere soon. As you were all showing on the map, England, France, Spain, look, them could have probably fit in to Africa, the whole of America on top of it. Yeah? We need to stand. We have to, but we have to reclaim it and take it back and defeat these people. You know, as they said, if you want to defeat an alien culture, you have to live your own. So that is where we are at. And we need to get our people to understand that they need to get this white Jesus out of them house. You know, I nearly lost my job through telling my woman to take this thing out of our house. It was a bad influence on children. And nearly, well, you know, this brain, every single opportunity we get to talk to a family, to talk to a children, it's not going away. We have to make it go and defeat it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Nzinga. Sorry about that echo. We've got the Jamaican Junkra channel, and he's saying, we don't need leadership, we need a drivership. We will have to get behind our people and push them forward. Let me go over to our brother to respond to this. Are we a people who look too much to leadership to lead us? What about a grassroots, groundswell, bottom-up approach, doing what we can all do, all of us being leaders in our own right? Let's go over to our brother to respond to this question. Over to you, my brother Kunta.
I didn't hear the question properly.
All right. It was about a question about leadership. I think we're all aware of the challenges that African leaders have. It's been suggested in the chat that for some of them, it's not that they don't know what's going on. They're actually fearful of their own life, or, you know, basically they sold out and sold and are bounded by this brotherhood thing. So this capitalist democratic so-called structure where we've got a leader in place that makes all the decisions on our behalf doesn't work for us as Africans. It doesn't work for the continent, you know, and we've been seeing that for the last 60 years. So maybe, you know, it ought to be a very different approach in Africa, a bottom-up approach possibly, where the people themselves are empowered to do what needs to be done. It's okay, Brother Kunta, you don't have to respond to that. Let me just ask anyone from the panel.
No, I can respond because I was going to give you a short reply. We don't need no leader. In Africa, what we need is not leader. What we need, you know, is people that love themselves. Because people that in politics in Africa, they hate themselves. You know, self-hatred. You see, sister, you know, self-hatred, you know, is high in Africa, you know, than in the Caribbean, you know, or in England here. In Africa, you know, the self-hatred in there is so deep that sometimes, you know, you ask yourself, you know, why people in Africa, they are more brainwashed than people that live in foreign countries? Because it's an attachment. You know, they have that kind of, it's like they are possessed by spirit. The spirit, you know, just turn them to freaks, you know. I'm very sorry to say that, you know, but in Africa, you know, people are more brainwashed than here, you know. In Africa, you can't talk about culture in there. You can't talk about ancestors. If you talk about that, they say, no, you're a pagan. Because you're doing what they call John Crow, like you worship idol. So you can't even talk about your ancestor. In Islam, if you talk about ancestors, they say, no, they were pagan. They're in hell. Your ancestors are in hell because you convert to a new religion, and they were in that religion. So for you know, they're in hell. I say, this people like it's to be cursed. For you to say that your ancestors, they are pagans, they're in hell. Is that because slavery in Africa, you know, is the mindset.
It's the mindset. We're going to have to leave it there.
The African mind is slaves.
Yes.
The slave mind.
We are 3 minutes away from the top of the hour. Family, please do join us for the next show, which is starting at the top of the hour with our brother Leader Bandaka. But before we go there, I want to thank our panel tonight so much. Let's quickly run around and give everyone just 30 seconds to make some final remarks, starting with Dr. Abu.
Give thanks. What we need is one another. We is all we have.
Yes.
We is all we have. You know, we don't need no outer force to come save us, or we have to save ourselves. And I just want to rise up. I just want to rise up the beautiful Empress that shared this platform and our brother Kunta. You know, I just more voodoo all the time.
More voodoo. One love, Dr. Abu. Sister Nzinga, 30 seconds, wrap up for you, my sis.
Well, all I'm going to say is what I've written in the chat. We all have to start with our families and our friends in the home and teaching that will lead to de-brainwashing. If we're going to carry on with slave mentality, we are not going to overthrow nothing. So the work begins with each one of us.
Voodoo. rise up. Sister Sheila, 30 seconds wrap up from you, my sis.
What I'll say is that we are awakening. We need more conversations like this, in forums like this, in WhatsApp, in Facebook, in Twitter. We are awakening. And when your name is called to join our people in conversations like this, join them. We have what it takes. We are what we are waiting for. Budum.
Okay, Budum. Brother Kunta, 30 seconds.
I will say in the African language, I will say rogo rog. Rogo rog. Rog. Rogo rog.
Rogo.
Roho rog. You see, ro is ra. It means God. You see, if it was in the Gambia, when they say ro is R-O with an accent on the O. It's ra. Ro. Ra. You see, it's the God. They become Muslim, they say Allah. But if you go, if you go to the seaside and you go to the fisherman, they won't say Allah. They say rogo rog. Ra. Ra will save us. Only God can save us. Only Ra will save us.
Hey.
Ra.
Yeah.
Ra is with us.
But we better not wait. We need to save ourselves, Brother Kunta. You know, we are all we've got. We have got to use our skills, our abilities, our intelligence, the sources given us to save ourselves. Family, please join us on the next show with Leader Bandaka. Here is the link, and also please join us tomorrow evening where we have a special show for you as well, and we've got Sister Nzinga coming back. Panel members, thank you so much. Everyone in the chat for your contribution, thank you so much. For those who have contributed financially, thank you so much. Sister Denise out of here for now, and panel out of here. One love.